Yo, what's going on, Snipers, and welcome back to our Edmonton Oilers Throwback 2010 franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the trade deadline. We did make a small addition, basically acquiring Ryan Smith from the LA Kings, and we gave up Alexander Burmistrov, and we have officially made the playoffs for the first time in quite a while, I feel like, because a lot of these young guys on our team have never played playoff games, but you can see we're going to be taking on the Vancouver Canucks in the first round. We do have home ice advantage, but I do feel like this might be a first round exit just because we finished 9-0-1 in our last 10 games of the regular season, so I don't really feel like our team's going to go on that deep of a run, but that's okay because we are basically just trying to get some experience for this team. So if we do get past the first round, it would be nice, but if we're just getting some playoff experience in that sense, it won't be a bad thing whatsoever. But excited to see what this young team could do. We were one of the best, or we were the best defensive team, right? I can't remember. Let me actually go back and check. Yeah, we were the best defensive team during the season. So, yeah, basically this young team has been able to show that they could play a good defensive hockey, especially on the defensive side of things and the goalie-wise, I'd say. Obviously, the offensive core, we have some good two-way forwards, so I think that helps us out defensively. But this young defensive core has really done well. Obviously, guys like Metropolitan are only 18 years old. Jurdev's only 22. You have Falk, who's 24, and Helenko, who's only 20. Meanwhile, Russell and Petrie are kind of like those veteran players to play alongside those guys, so they've helped out a bit. And then the young goaltending tandem of Vasilevsky and Ruskovich has been very good. Both these guys are 24 and younger. And then our offensive core obviously is quite young. They're still not finding ways to score consistently, so we might need to make some more adjustments as these years go on. Like maybe we utilize Nathan MacKinnon more as a right winger rather than a center so he could play next to Cameron. Or maybe we try and find some other pieces to surround in our top six. Like Eberle was good this season, but he wasn't scoring a ton of goals. Like he only had 18 goals this season, so maybe we need more goal scorers in our top six still for the future. But like I said, we brought in Ryan Smith basically from the Kings, and he helped us out a lot in terms of offense. 9 goals in 20 games with 15 points. So I definitely think he did exactly what we were hoping for when we brought him in. So hopefully he could give this team some good veteran leadership going into the playoffs as well. He's likely to retire at the end of the season, so this is his last stint here as a member of the Oilers. But in general, just really like how our team is set up, and hopefully, we, like I said, we could get past this first round just so we could get more playoff experience. But if we're out in the first round, as long as these guys are getting some good stats and kind of getting used to playoff hockey again, I think it's a good thing. Like, we don't have a lot of players on a roster, I think, with playoff experience. I believe there's only like a couple that have been here since the last time we were in the playoffs. So Jordan Eberle would be one of them because he played in the playoffs back in year number 1. That was, I don't remember. I think that was the year that we played. It wasn't when we played Detroit, because when we played Detroit, it was like we basically swept a bunch of teams, or we didn't allow them to score a single goal, and then we got to the second round. So it wasn't that round against Detroit. Trying to remember what year that was. That was the second year then, probably. I just don't remember who we were facing at all in those playoffs. Like, I know we played like Detroit at one point, San Jose, but we've never taken on the Canucks in the playoffs. So this could be still a pretty tough task despite the record being 42, 33, and 7. But anyways, before we get into this matchup with the Vancouver Canucks, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode. Then I'll show you guys their lines again just in case you forgot. And then we'll make sure we're set up and ready to go for game number 1. So the first comment is from Sound Otaku, who says, Phil probably didn't like the quality of hot dogs in Nashville. Enjoy your first round exit. Only partially kidding. And yeah, maybe that's why Phil Kessel got dealt back to Toronto again, as he just didn't like the hot dogs. It was kind of a crazy trade because Taylor Hall went all the way to back to Nashville for Adam Larson as well in that same deal, which is kind of funny because obviously that trade actually happened back in real life or not necessarily around this point. I don't remember when it was. Maybe it was 2017, 18, something like that. But it's kind of insane that that actually happened in this universe. Phil Kessel obviously was involved in that trade because he has a lot more value. So now Phil Kessel, after only I think it was like a year and a half away from the Leafs, he's already back and playing on that top line there. And in Nashville, like I said, brought in Taylor Hall, and now Taylor Hall's playing on the top line with, I guess they made an adjustment, or they have an injury. Yeah, Barkov got injured, but anyways, Barkov was playing on this top line with Seguin and him. So, as Tyler Seguin was also brought in by the Nashville Predators at the trade deadline because basically the St. Louis Blues decided to trade for Shea Weber. So there was some really interesting moves at the deadline. Excited to see if that impacts any of those teams whatsoever when it comes to playoff action. And the last and final comment is from Tyler G, 1994, who says, Hall for Larson just gave me Vietnam flashbacks to that day IRL. I was not happy then. And yeah, that was one of the worst trades probably back in those days. Like, I can't think of another trade that would be that bad, but yeah, that definitely was a really rough trade for the Edmonton Oilers because Adam Larson, it's not that he's a bad defenseman. He's a pretty solid top four defenseman, but Taylor Hall obviously went on to win, I think it was the Hart in 2019 around, if I remember right. So definitely a one-sided trade. And obviously, Hall being a former first overall pick, you think he'd have a lot more value than Larson, who was, I think, maybe a top 5 selection. I can't remember exactly when he was drafted. Maybe it was a top 10 selection, but still, regardless, it was not a great trade for the Oilers back in those days. So there's that. Let's go show you guys what the Vancouver Canucks lines are looking like now at this point in time. And then we'll actually also take a look at how good Alexander Burmistrov did with the LA Kings after our trade with him too, because we didn't do that in the last episode, and I kind of want to see how he did with the Kings. But you can see this is the Vancouver Canucks. They're very top 6 heavy. Their bottom 6 is more defensively minded. Like, they're definitely an offensive top 6. But you go down to this like third line, definitely more defensive. The fourth line's definitely a grindy kind of line with Brouwer, Dorsett, and Clutterbuck. So they definitely have a way of playing good defensive hockey probably in that bottom 6, but also scoring in their top 6. And then from a defensive standpoint, their defense core is very well built up. No real weakness there. And from a goaltending perspective, they did bring in Jonathan Bernier via trade at the trade deadline. It was for Jerome McGinley, basically. So they did get themselves a nice goaltender just in case Roberto Luongo can't win. So likely we're going to be facing Bernier in the playoffs unless he goes down with an injury, unless Luongo somehow gets more starts. But you can see Luongo's been on a bit of a drop-off the last number of years because the Canucks haven't been as good. His playoff numbers have been pretty good in his career, except for the last time they were in the playoffs. So we'll see if we end up having to face Luongo at all. But Jonathan Bernier, it'll be a very tough goaltender to crack. Because you can see with the LA Kings, he wasn't doing too well this season. They dealt him away, and he posted some fantastic numbers with the Canucks. Like, he's got a .924 save percentage through 12 games. So I think it's going to be tough to go up against somebody like him, but I think obviously our young team might be better offensively in the playoffs than the regular season, but it's really tough to say with how we ended off the season 9-0-1. Let's go actually to the LA Kings. I meant to go to their lines just so we could see where Alexander Burmistrov slotted in. I would assume he's playing exactly kind of where Ryan Smith was. And the answer to that is no, he's playing second line center. That's interesting. Was not expecting him to be there. So he's right behind Kopitar, playing with Jerome McGinley, who, like I said, was just brought in from the Canucks, and then Ryan Jones. How good did McGinley do with the Kings, out of curiosity? Wow. That's actually kind of scary. 26 points in 21 games with 16 goals. So maybe we should have thought about bringing Jerome McGinley to Edmonton or something because of the goal scoring. But then again, Flames fans would have actually killed me about that. But Alexander Burmistrov, let's see how he did as a King. 19 points in 20 games. He was fantastic for them. You could say he was better than he was than Ryan Smith was. But I think it's also because he's playing right next to Jerome McGinley that's helping out so much. But shout out to Alexander Burmistrov. Maybe he gets a chance to win a Stanley Cup with the Kings this season based on that production. So with that said, let's get into game number 1 against the Canucks and see if we could somewhat pull off the upset. I know technically we're the better team, but I still feel like, honestly, because the Canucks have more playoff experience, and also we finished off the season on a really good note, I kind of don't feel like our team is really built for this playoff matchup, but we'll see what ends up happening. We have home ice advantage, which is good, so let's see if we could use it to our advantage and at least take a couple games in this round if possible. So first period, game number 1. Let's see what happens. And it's 2-1 Canucks after 1. I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, it's better than being down by a lot more goals. Henrik Sedin opened the scoring. 2 minutes later, exactly, Troy Brouwer scores. So that's a first line and a fourth line goal for them. Tyler Toffoli gets our first goal back in the playoffs in quite some time. So good to see Toffoli on the board, scoring on Jonathan Bernier. So it's a former king on a king, which is kind of funny. Shots are 14-5 in favor of us. So we're getting a lot of chances, but we're not scoring goals. That's kind of how our team performs. We're more of a defensive team. So let's hope that we have a good defensive second period. Maybe that gives us a chance to tie this game up potentially. Second period. 3-2 us. There we go. We were out shooting them badly in the first period, so nice little answer in the second period to give us our first lead of the night. McKinnon scores his first career playoff goal to tie it at 2. Jankumovs gives us the lead a couple minutes later. So shots are heavily in our favor, 31-13. So we're making it a little bit tough for Jonathan Bernier having to face so many shots, but we're only up by a goal, so we got to find a way to get some insurance, and then maybe we could take this first game off the series. Third period underway. Can we get some insurance? Can we get some insurance? Or are we just going to play strong defensively the rest of this way? Power play for us. It's a long, long power play, but we did not score on it. Penalty kill. And we killed it off. Nicely done, guys. Wish our power play would have scored, though, but it is what it is. And Henrik Sedin ties the game up at 3. God damn, that's not good. And we are going to be going to overtime in Game 1 with the shots 44-17 in favor of us. So this is a crazy game, and Jonathan Bernier is definitely giving his team a chance to win this game. I'm kind of glad that the Canucks only have one of the Sedin brothers, because if they had both of them, it would definitely be tougher to contain. But he's been really good so far, Henrik. And like I said, it's because of him and Bernier that this game's even going to overtime. Like, we literally are more than doubling their shots. So I don't know if we're going to win this one or if Bernier is going to find a way to win it for the Canucks. But let's have a good overtime and see if we can find a way to get that OT winner. Overtime underway. Who wants to be the hero for us? Who wants to be that hero? Power play for us. Can we score this time? No, we cannot again. Still more struggles on the power play in terms of scoring goals as well. We have a shit ton of shots in this game. Goddamn, over 50 shots on goal. Penalty kill. Kill it off, please, boys. Thank you. And we are going to be going to double overtime in Game 1. We're out shooting them by 30 shots. I don't think I've ever had a shot margin that big, but 54 shots on goal to 24. Like I said, if we lose this game, it's definitely on Bernier for them. If we end up losing, though, it's not really on our team. We've generated a lot of chances. I'm not going to blame the offense fully, but we definitely still have struggles scoring goals like we did during the regular season. So we know overtime number 2 is going to end really quickly, so who wants to be the hero for us? Maybe Ryan Smith could score a goal. I don't really know, but let's see what happens. OT number 2 underway. Can we find the winner? No, we cannot. I kind of felt like that was going to happen with the amount of shots we took. Tom Kuhnhackl, of all people, the German GOAT, Tom Kuhnhackl. And unfortunately, we lose 4-3 in Game 1, outshooting him 54-26. That's insane. Crazy game for Bernier. Vasilevsky was okay, I guess, at times, but I wouldn't say there's really much problems with our team in that game other than the lack of finishing, probably, because we got tons of chances, but we just could not score on a hot goalie. So Toffoli from Cameron and Jankumovs. We had Nathan McKinnon from Gustav Nyquist and Jordan Eberle, and then Jankumovs from Cameron and Toffoli. So Cameron picking up a couple points, Toffoli picking up a couple points, and same with Jankumovs. So good stuff from the top line, but kind of crazy that Tom Kuhnhackl's the hero in that first game. But I'd say, like I said, it's not a terrible first game because we almost won it, but definitely not a strong game from that third line. Ryan Smith was -2, Yakupov and Marcoux as well. And then Bruskovich apparently made a save, but he never played a single second, so I don't know what that's about. But Vasilevsky, definitely not the strongest save percentage, but he at least got close to getting a win. But definitely the difference maker in that one. Bernier making 51 of 54. Absolutely insane. And then Henrik Sedin and Giordano and Franson basically destroyed us, I guess, too. 3 stars in Game 1, Sedin, Bernier, and Jankumov. So nice to see Jankumovs get at least a star, but yeah, Jonathan Bernier, I don't know how he didn't get first star in the game, but he definitely won them that game for the most part. So I think we'll probably keep the team the same for game number 2, but definitely we need to find a way to start finishing on our opportunities. We completely outplayed them last game, but their goaltender literally was just like an absolute brick. And that's exactly how I expected Jonathan Bernier to play after how he played with them in the last 12 games of the regular season. So let's keep the team the same for now. But obviously, if we lose this game, we will make some adjustments to try and get that offense flowing a little bit better in our lineup. So let's get to game number 2. Still on home ice. Can we find a way to respond after that tough first game? First period. 2-0 Canucks. I feel like at this rate, we're going to get swept. I just feel like it, because we're out shooting them again 11-7, but they get 2 goals this time. Brouwer and Schwartz. Not a strong start to this game for our team. 2 goals against on 7 shots. Yeah, I definitely feel like we're going to get swept just because we went 9-0-1 going into the playoffs. I think that's the only reason why, too, because this team is probably better than the Canucks on paper in terms of offense. Not necessarily in terms of other areas, but I definitely think we are the better team on paper, but for some reason this game just likes to throw curveballs at teams that do well during the season. So can we find a way to respond in the second period, at least get maybe a goal back and don't give up anything? Something like that would be nice. Second period. 2-0 Canucks still. Shots are now in their favor, 19-18, but still, we have now struggled to score goals since, I guess, technically the second period of last game? Yeah, second period last game, so not looking too good on the offensive side of things now, but we are still generating chances. It's just we're running into a very strong goaltender. So third period underway, can we find a way to score an early goal to maybe give us a chance? And no, we can't. Tom Kuhnhackl scores again against us. Of course he does. I don't know how Tom Kuhnhackl is that good of a scorer because he's a pretty low overall right now, but he's been definitely a little bit of a thorn on our side here early on. So the Canucks are going to steal both of our home games, which means we need to steal both of their home games if we want to have a chance likely at the series. And we get shut out in game 2, despite the shots being even 28 apiece. 3-0 final for the Canucks. So another strong game from Jonathan Bernier for them. And things are not looking too good for us at the moment. They're not looking too good. So anybody badly plus minus wise on this roster? Falk and Zherdev were -2. A couple guys were -1, so not the hugest plus-minus issues. An 893 from Vasilevsky. Oof. He's had a bit of a tough time here in the early stages, but I probably would keep him in net unless I want to give Ruskovich a game just for the playoff experience. But yeah, Bernier right now has been the difference maker. He gets first star, Brouwer second star, Kyle Wellwood the third star. Yeah, I think we might give Ruskovich at least one playoff game. It's not nothing on Vasilevsky, because Vasilevsky, I know he's not been good, but I just like to kind of give some people playoff experience that might not get playoff experience. So let's give Ruskovich an opportunity to play a game, and we will also make some offensive adjustments to try and get our scoring a little bit better. Aside from that, though, I don't know if we'll come back in the series at all, but might as well just give some guys some opportunities to maybe give us a chance. So let's swap Toffoli and Nyquist and go back to the lines that were at the beginning of the season, because Toffoli and McKinnon usually did really well offensively together, so let's try and reunite that a little bit in the playoffs if possible. We'll also move Ryan Smith to the right side, Yakupov to the left side, just because Smith is more of a goal scorer, so we'll try him on his off wing. And then from a defensive standpoint, it's not that we've been a bad defensive team so far early on. We will probably just keep this the same, to be honest. And yeah, trying Miroslav Ruskovich for a game sounds like an okay idea. Even though he has never played... he actually has played solid in playoffs before in the AHL, but he's never played an NHL playoff game. Might as well give him an opportunity at the age of 24. And we'll see what he could do. So that's what we're going to do in terms of our goaltending and offensive adjustments. Hopefully that's enough to give us at least maybe one win in this postseason. Like, we don't need to win the series, but as long as we get a couple wins that make it close, that will at least show us that our team is kind of trending in the right direction. All right, so the series shifts to Vancouver. Can we find a way to win at least one of these road games just to kind of give this team at least one win in the postseason this year? Let's see what happens. Game 3 underway. Can we have a good defensive result, and can we find ways to score more goals? First period, game 3. 2-1 Canucks. We always get off to a bad start where we give up 2 goals first. Schwartz scores, then Henrik Sedin scores. Toffoli gets us on the board. That seems very similar to game number 1. Shots are 11-8 in favor of us, so we are outplaying him again in terms of shots, but once again, seems like Bernier is definitely a tough goalie to solve. Shots are 11-8, close game so far. Can we find a way to tie this game up in the second and give ourselves a chance in the third? Second period. 2-2. Okay, we do tie it up. Ryan Smith finally gets on the board. Good to see that. He scores on his teammate from earlier this season, which is kind of funny to say. So both those guys were on the Kings in the beginning of the season, and now they're playing each other in the first round. But good to see Ryan Smith could actually solve him. Shots are 22-11 in favor of us now. So I think we only gave up 4 shots in that second period. So we're definitely generating the chances, but we just need to find a ways to put them through the goalie and not into the goalie's glove and all that. So can we find a way to get that lead in the third period? This is a crucial third period if we want to have a chance at winning any of these games in this first round. Third period underway. Can we get that next one? Power play for us. We do not score on it. Our power play probably needs some adjustments, but I'm just going to leave it the same for the most part. Because our power play has definitely not been super good in this playoffs at this point in time. Final few minutes. Are we going to another overtime here in Game 3? The answer is yes, we are. Shots are 36-17. I mean, I've liked that we've been outplaying them in terms of chances, but it's just really annoying having to run into a goaltender that could literally stop everything. Last game was even in shots, but the first game we completely destroyed them in shots. This game we're also up by almost 20 shots on goal, but we're still going to an overtime period. So there's just a strong lack of finishing on this team, but at least we're getting pucks to the net. But Jonathan Bernier is really warmed up again, and he just knows how to stop this team right now, it seems like. Can we find a way to get an overtime winner and give us a chance to maybe get back in the series? Let's see what happens. Overtime underway. Who wants to be the hero on our side? Penalty kill to start off overtime. We killed it off, and then we score. We have finally won our first playoff game. Chris Russell, the shot-blocking man, scores the overtime winner. So some unlikely OT heroes in the series, but we outshot them 38-20, and we do at least win one game in Vancouver. We actually got the best of Jonathan Bernier there. But he definitely gave his team a chance to take that 3-0 series lead. But big win there on the road. And we're back into the series. So Toffoli from Cameron and Falk. Smith from Yakupov and Marcoux. And then we had Russell from Legfist. And Ruskovich assisted on the OT winner. So Ruskovich, the goaltender, picks up a big assist on that OT goal. And that is huge for our confidence. So that's kind of interesting that he picks up an assist in his first playoff game as a goalie. So shout out to Ruskovich, who's point per game now in his playoff career. Plus minus stuff isn't the best across the board, but it's not terrible. Ruskovich didn't face a lot of shots, but he was good enough. We probably will go back to Vasilevsky next game, but we probably shouldn't have won that game just based on these stats. Like, Brouwer got first star with only an assist, but he had 6 hits. So I think we were definitely getting out-hit in that game, but we outshot them. Yeah, in that second period, we outshot them 11-3 to get back into the game. Every single period, we just outplayed them for the most part. So, there we go. We are back into the series. We'll keep Vasilevsky now in net, I think, for this next game, even though Ruskovich just got the win. And we'll see if we're able to find a way to tie the series up. We still haven't been super good offensively, I'd say, so far at this point, because we only have 6 goals in 3 games, like only 2 goals a game on average. But at least we have found a way to win a game against a tough Canucks team. Now the question is, can we find a way to win this next game in Vancouver as well and tie the series up and then make it a best of 3? Or are the Canucks going to find a way to take a 3-1 series lead? Let's keep the team the same because honestly, like I said, I don't care too much if we lose in the first round, but I do wanted to see if we could get the best version of this team possible. So first period, game 4. Let's get off to a better start because we've had bad first periods before. 3-1 Canucks. That's a bad first period. Damn, man. Our first periods are absolutely atrocious right now in this playoffs because we've given up 2 goals plus in every single game, I think, so far in the first period. So we definitely don't come to play in the games early on, but then we get back into games. So Giordano made it 1-0. Brouwer made it 2-0. Boone Jenner gets on the board. Not really expecting that. And then Joel Ward makes it a 3-1 game. They're actually out playing us for a change. 14-6 in terms of shots on goal as well. So I wouldn't really put that on Vasilevsky, but definitely a rough period for our team. Can we find a way to maybe pull within 1 to give us a chance in the third period? Second period. 5-3? What the hell? Oh my god. I was not expecting that. What the hell? Okay, I don't expect to be down 3-1 and then up 5-3. What a crazy second period. Hey, maybe we're going to come back and win 4 straight at this point, but Cameron made it a 3-2 game. A minute later, Yakupov ties the game up. Then 6 minutes later, Sherdov gives us the lead, and then Cameron scores again on the power play. And we have a 2-goal lead going into the third somehow. I don't know where that came from, but I do like to see that. That's our offense that we need. And who knows, maybe this team's going to start cooking a little bit more so, because we might be winning our second game in a row if we have a strong third period. Shots are 26-20 in favor of the Canucks. It's a 5-3 game for us, which is really surprising. Can we find a way to close them out in this third period? Third period underway. Let's see what happens. Penalty kill to start off the third. And we do kill it off. Nicely done, boys. There was a 5-on-3 briefly there. And then we get another goal. Toffoli makes it 5 unanswered goals. 6-3 for your Oilers. Let's go. Power play again for us. We do not score on that one, but that's okay. We're up by 3 goals. Just got to lock it down. And that's exactly what we do. We have tied this series up as we take both of Vancouver's games on their home ice, which makes me feel like this could be the home ice trend, which would maybe have us winning actually in 7 games, potentially. Final shots at the end of it, 32-31 in favor of the Canucks, but we win 6-3. That's a big victory, very big victory for this team. And definitely a nice little thing to take as experience going forward. So Jenner from Fata and Russell, then we had Cameron from Nyquist, Yakupov from Marcoux and Smith, Zherda from Eberle. Oh my goodness. And Zherda from Eberle, Cameron from Toffoli and McKinnon, and then Toffoli from Falk and Eberle. So a lot of our top-end talent picking up some points in that game. And it was mostly Eberle, Toffoli, and Cameron. I think Cameron's the main star in that game, though, in terms of helping us come back. A lot of good plus-minus results. And then from a goaltending perspective, Vasilevsky wasn't super strong. It says he only played 40 minutes, which doesn't make sense. But he at least found his footing a little bit after that first period, I would say. Because those 3 goals against were only in the first period. So not a bad second or third period. But Cameron gets first start, Toffoli the second star, Troy Brouwer the third star of the game. So kind of a weirdly weird start to this playoff scenario for our team, but that's not good to see. Jorge Fata, we'll call him instead of George Fata maybe. We'll call him George. George goes down with an injured stomach, and he's out till the 26th, so we will go replace player on that. But he will be back for a Game 7 scenario if needed. But right now I feel like this could be the home ice trend, at least at the moment. Who does not put into the lineup then, I guess, where Fata is? Because Fata's a penalty killer usually on this team too. It is putting in Sven Barchi. I don't mind having Sven Barchi playing for us in the playoffs. I'm kind of excited to see what he could do because he's a pretty decent player. He did not play a single game during the regular season for us. Like, he was a healthy scratch all year. So for him to get actually a playoff game is kind of nice. Obviously, he's not the most defensive player, but still, I do not mind having him getting an opportunity to at least play a game while Fata is out with his injuries. So we'll see what Barchi could do. But let's keep the team the same. See if Barchi could have a good game here. But look at the stats on the goaltenders. Yet this is a tie series. You can see Bernier's got a .925 save percentage through 4 games. Meanwhile, Vasilevsky has an .883. Yet this series is tied because Ruskovich also had an okay game in his only game. So kind of strange, but let's see if we could find a way to win 3 straight games, or is the home ice trend going to continue? If we lose this game and we win next game, I think we're going to win in Game 7. But let's see what happens here. Game 5, looking to take our first lead of the series because we've won 2 straight games now at this point. First period. 2-0 us. Let's go. Okay. Now we actually have a good first period. That's probably our best first period of this entire playoffs. Eberle and Falk scores. Falk scored on the power play. We haven't even made power play adjustments, but our power play is starting to heat up a bit. Shots are 9-9, but it's a 2-0 lead for us. Really like that start because mostly, like I said, we've been giving up 2 to 3 goals in the first period, but this time we play good defensively. We do score goals early too. We just got to keep this on our foot on the gas because the Canucks can't score goals, and they definitely could still get back into this game. Second period. 3-0 us. Let's go. We have an insurance marker from Ryan Smith also on the power play. So, like I said, our power play is starting to heat up at the right time. And just like that, despite us looking like we were going to be down 3-1 because of that first period in the last game, we're all of a sudden appeared away from going up 3-2 in the series. So, Very, very impressed with this team so far. Shots are 19-16. Let's see if we could close this game out and take that lead back to Vancouver. Third period underway. But yeah, this team's definitely impressed me these last 3 games. First 2 games, I wasn't super impressed, but we've definitely been trending in the right direction, which is good. Final few minutes here, still up by 3 goals. Can we lock this game down? The answer is yes, we can. We get a shutout of our own, 3-0, out shooting them 29-21, and we have taken our first lead of the series with 3 straight wins after we were down 0-2. So there's our first win on home ice in this playoff run, which is great. So Jordan Eberle scored from Cameron and Toffoli. Then we had Falk from Cameron and McKinnon, and Smith from Cameron and Toffoli. So Cameron is looking really good in terms of stats. Like, I think he's over point per game, despite our team not scoring a ton of goals in the series. So Cameron's looking fantastic. Toffoli's looking good. Nate Dogg's looking good as always. So definitely, these 3 could all be on the same line, hypothetically, at one point. But we'd have to think about who the second line would be if we use McKinnon as a winger instead. But right now, those guys have definitely been our best offensive players. Vasilevsky gets first star, Cameron the second star, and Eberle the third star. Looking good, looking good. 3 straight wins. And now we're just a 1 win away from the second round, just like that. Was not expecting to be in this situation like that easily. I thought it was going to be the home ice trend still, but who knows, maybe it's the trend where we lose the first 2 games but then win 4 in a row. And then get swept in the second round. So Calgary already swept the Blue Jackets, in case you guys were wondering. The Kings have moved on, so we will not get an actual 2016 rematch. But the LA Kings have moved on, which means Burmistrov is on his way to round 2. And if we somehow find a way to win this game, we're going to be taking on the winner of Game 7 between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild, which is going to be really tough probably. Pittsburgh's already moved on via sweep, same with Tampa and the Rangers. So 3 sweeps in the Eastern Conference, and then New Jersey, Montreal are going to Game 7 at the moment. All right. Well, can we find a way to win 4 straight and eliminate the Vancouver Canucks? Was not expecting us to be in this spot, but can we do it? Let's see what happens. Game 6 underway. First period. Scoreless. I mean, I'll take a scoreless period. We are outplaying them as well in shots. 11-4. Bernier going back to his old ways again of playing really good against us. So, not ideal that Bernier didn't give up any goals so far in that first period, but at least we were generating chances. And I'd rather this situation than being down by a couple goals after one. So, we are 2-0 so far in Vancouver. Looking to make it 3-0. Can we have a good second period here to give us a chance at that? Second period. 1-0 us. Let's go. First goal of the series, or not the series, the friggin' game. What am I saying? Nathan McKinnon opens the scoring a couple minutes into that period. Shots are 21-18 in favor of the Canucks now, so they're outplaying us a little bit, but we're up by 1 goal because of Nate Dogg. Our top guys have definitely been difference makers in the series so far up to this point. Let's see what happens in this third period, see if we can lock it down and maybe close out the Canucks. Third period underway. Can we get an insurance marker? An insurance marker at this time would be very nice. Very, very nice if possible. Penalty kill here in the third period. We get a goal right afterwards. Tyler Toffoli again. Our top guys have been great. Toffoli, McKinnon, and Cameron. And we're only a few minutes away from taking out the Canucks with 4 straight wins. And that will maybe be the case? Yes, it is. Okay, good. Kessler's late goal kind of scared me. But your Edmonton Oilers have only allowed 1 goal in the last 2 games. We got outshot 32-24, but we have taken out a Vancouver Canucks team that I thought was going to beat us because we lost our first 2 games. All right. Well, this team, despite going 9-0-1 into the playoffs, has actually found itself now in the postseason too, which is great. So McKinnon from Toffoli and Eberle, and Toffoli from Falk. Ryan Kessler scored late, and that kind of scared me, but we do manage to win. So Vasilevsky gets first start again. He's been really good these last 2 games, finding his game finally. And then Toffoli the second star, and Bernier the third star. So nice to eliminate the Canucks. I wasn't expecting to be in that situation. I don't feel like Jarome Iginla had any goals against us, so I don't think he was even a difference maker. But we'll take a look at some stats on the Canucks as well, just for fun too. But first and foremost, let's go take a look at our stats. from our players in that first round. So, wow. Yeah, there's definitely specific guys that are showing up really good. Those being Toffoli and Cameron especially. 9 points for Toffoli in 6 games. Cameron's on 8 points. Then you have Eberle on 5 points. Only 1 goal, but still near point per game. McKinnon only on 4 points, so I guess he hasn't been as good as I thought. But Cameron and Toffoli have definitely been really good. Ryan Smith on 3 points. Nyquist on 3 points. Jankumov's 2. Like, the depth scoring is definitely there, which is definitely something we didn't have much of during the season. Lotti's been a bit aggressive, 14 penalty minutes in 6 games, but it is what it is. And Barchi has not done much since being put in the lineup, but at least he's been okay. From a defensive standpoint, Fulks on 4 points. We have Russell on 2 points, including that OT winning goal that he had to get us back into the series. Zherdev on a goal. And then we have a -4 from Petrie and a -3 from Metropolitan. So there is some underlining issues, but maybe issues we don't need to address. And then goaltending-wise, Vasilevsky's on a .920 save percentage now, so he's starting to find his game a lot. And then Ruskovich, was really good in his one game he played as well. So our goaltending's still just as strong as it was during the season, I feel like, which is really good to see. And then we're starting to find some offense from a couple people specifically. So, yeah, really liking that so far at this point in time. All right. Actually, I wanted to take a look at the Vancouver Canucks playoff stats as well from that first round, because I feel like some of the guys stepped up in game 1 or 2, but afterwards were very quiet. Like, I don't think Henrik Sedin did much after that first 2 games. Let's see. So, Sedin was on 5 points against us. Welby was on 5. Troy Brouwer was up there for them. That's kind of surprising. But, yeah, Jerome McGinley was really bad. Where is Jerome McGinley? Oh, no, he got dealt to the Kings, right? That's right. I thought Jerome McGinley was on that team for some reason again. My brain is absolutely scrambled. But there is definitely some guys that underperformed on that team. But, probably... Actually, Steve Bernier must have got injured in that series. He only played 2 games. Huh. That's interesting. Which games did he play? Because I didn't even realize him being out of the lineup for them. Let's see, game logs. Yeah, he only played game 1, and then he came back for game 6. That's interesting. So, I don't know what his injury was and who replaced him even, but that's probably what helped us a bit too. And then defensively, Alex Picard played 4 games. Did they use Alex Picard as a forward in that spot? That's what I'm guessing, because he played 4 games, which would equate to the ones that that Bernier did not play. So I think they used a defenseman in there. And our former defenseman, David Savard, got ripped apart in that series, -5 through 6 games. So that definitely helped things. Jonathan Bernier was good. Luongo played apparently part of a game and was not very good. But, I'm kind of surprised we still won that round, to be honest, at that point. But it is what it is. All right, so are we playing Chicago or Minnesota in round 2? Regardless, I think it's going to be a tough series. But let's see what it is. It will be, as Fada is back for the next round, which is good. Let's get him in. That's good to see that we're going to at least be fully healthy for the start of the next round. So we'll get Fada in. Boom. There we go. The answer will be the LA Kings, actually. So it's not what I was thinking. We're going to literally have a matchup, Ryan Smith versus Alexander Burmistrov in round 2. I thought it had to be Chicago or Minnesota, but I guess I was wrong. So that's kind of strange. There's Chicago in Calgary now in that second round as well. You have the Rangers and Penguins, Tampa and Montreal as your final 8 teams. All right, well, playing the LA Kings is interesting. It's very, very interesting. Like I said, I did not expect to be playing them right now, but maybe it's more divisional based than I thought. But let's go to the regular season, do a little comparison, then we'll do playoffs, and we will see what they're looking like. We were really good against them after the trade deadline, if I remember right, because I think we had like 4 or 5 games against them down the stretch, so we might be able to beat them, potentially. But they are a team that's gotten very far in the playoffs before. So, Western Conference, they were the team that was below us, 8 points behind us, but I do think they're better. They were better offensively, we were better defensively. Power play percentage, they were better. Penalty kill percentage, they were better. All right. And then 15 short-handed goals for them this year compared to our 12. Damn. All right. What about playoffs so far? What have they been good at? Obviously, they've only played 1 round, but let's just go Western Conference, sort by wins. So, yeah, they won the first round in 5 games. They were scoring 3.6 goals 4 per game, so their offense is fantastic. Our defensive play is better than theirs, though. They have not scored a power play goal despite that offense, which is kind of surprising. 0 for 7. But 7 is the lowest amount of power plays the team got, really, in that first round. So the refs just don't give them a lot of chances. Their penalty kill was worse than ours. So they're a better offensive team in some ways, and we're a better defensive team. Kind of makes sense. And we know the Kings have, like I said, won a Stanley Cup, I think, in this universe. They've also been to a final, loss to the Rangers. They are definitely well built up. We did actually look at the roster, I guess, at the beginning of this episode, but we didn't realize we were going to be playing against them. But this is their team, a little bit more in depth. Now we're going to actually be taking on Jarome Iginla, though. So Patrick O'Sullivan, former Oiler, he's been very good on that top line with Kopitar and Brown. We have to take on him. Then there's Jarome Iginla, Alexander Burmistrov, who obviously we dealt for Ryan Smith. And there's Ryan Jones, who used to play in our bottom 6. Had a 29-point season this year. But yeah, he used to play in our 4th line a couple years back. 3rd line, Eric Cole, Vernon Fiddler, and Lee Stempniak. And a 4th line of Wayne Simmons, Byron Bitts, and Kyle Clifford. A lot of grit in that 4th line. But yeah, that's a good team. Right wing depth is fantastic. Center depth isn't as strong as it used to be, but Anze Kopitar is at 95 overall. And he's a pending free agent. So I wonder if they're going to extend him or not. But he's been really good early into the series, you could see. And then, yeah, Patrick O'Sullivan, of course, we dealt him there. And he's been really good since playing with Kopitar and all that. So there's that. Defensively, they have Paul Martin still, Andrew Doughty. Really good 1-2 punch. Second pairing, Zbigniew McCulloch and Alec Martinez. Really good pairing. And then a third pairing of Andre Benoit and Slava Voinov is on that third pairing. And he had 50 points this season. So, yeah, their defensive core is very, very strong. And I'm quite scared about that. And then from a goaltending perspective, they do still have Jonathan Quick. And since they moved away from Bernier, they brought Calvin Pickard in as the backup. He was in the AHL at the beginning of the season. But after they moved out Bernier, he got called up. So, doesn't have a lot of experience at this point. He actually played a playoff game with Colorado briefly, but never played a regular season game with them? What? Huh, I'm kind of surprised on that. That's really weird. 7 minutes of playoff action 2 years ago. But never played an NHL regular season game with the Avs. Huh, surprised. All right, so that's their goaltending tandem. And then scratch-wise, they have Cody Goluboff, Ben Lovejoy, and Josh Anderson. Yeah, that's a really solid team. It's definitely going to be, the main thing is containing that top 6, I would say, because Burmistrov and Iginla could produce too. But that top line is filthy. The defensive core, breaking through that as well is going to be tough, so we got to find ways to score goals on this tough defense and tough number 1 goaltender and Quick. So that's interesting. Let's take a look at some of their stats from the playoffs and regular season as well, just because I'm curious on who's been scoring goals for them at this point. But this is going to be a very tough second round, and this is probably where we're going to get our asses handed to us, but it's good experience to go up against a championship caliber team like the Kings. So from an offensive standpoint, yeah, Kopitar and Iginla had crazy seasons. Iginla actually played 87 games because he played also with the Canucks earlier this year. Aside from that, a lot of high-end talent in terms of points. Guys like Wayne Simmons, despite being 4th line, had power play time and had 40 points. So they do get some pretty solid scoring in their lineup. From a defensive standpoint, Drew Doughty brings points from the back end. Same with Paul Martin and Slava Voinov. Even Alec Martinez and Zbigniew McCulloch do too. So a lot of offense from the back end. Looks like Andre Benoit was maybe called up or traded for. He was called up or just a depth defenseman early in the season, I guess. I'm not too sure who used to play in this spot. And then Lovejoy was, I guess, recently picked up via free agency. Goalies, Jonathan Quick had a .903 save percentage during the season. That's a lot worse than I expected from Quick. He hasn't posted those elite numbers he would have posted in real life, but he has won cups, and that's all that really matters. In terms of the player stats in the playoffs, who's been the one guy to watch out for? It's definitely got to be somebody on that top line. It's Paul Martin right now. 8 assists in 5 games. Surprisingly, right now, all their forwards are like point per game or less. But they have 2 defensemen over point per game. I did not expect that. Voinov and Martin, of all people. Like, Drew Doughty's just down here, so they are definitely a scary team based on that. And in their goaltending numbers, Jonathan Quick's been good, a .918 save percentage at this point. So, yeah, I definitely think it's a series we're going to get probably our asses handed to us. But like I said, it's a really good experience to go up against a team like this that's won a cup and all that, just for our team to kind of understand what it takes to actually maybe win a Stanley Cup. But if we do find a way to win, and we have to take on like a Flames team or the Blackhawks in the conference finals, it's going to be tough as well. But once again, more experience, the better for this young team. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Edmonton Oilers Throwback 2010 franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the second round against the Los Angeles Kings as we look to try and find ourselves maybe in the conference finals, or at least getting to maybe like a game 6 or something against this Kings team. So that way we could say, hey, we took like a really good team to 6 games and got some valuable experience. So I think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.